talking with Congressman Bentz, and again, congratulations on your election. And we finally made it to getting sworn in, and I know that was a bit of a tussle.
Well, that is, as most people now across the United States know, you don't get sworn in unless you have a speaker. And getting to the point of being able to elect a speaker this time around was as hard as it has been apparently in 100 years, because it took us 15 votes. And, you know, people, if they were watching, noticed that when you vote for a speaker, each individual congressperson has to yell out the name of whoever it is they're supporting for speaker. And that means the clerk has to ask you individually how you vote. And she has to do that 435 times, but there was 2 people missing, so it was 433. So one round of voting would usually take about an hour and a half.
Amazing. But
yes,
it finally got done.
It did, and I'm happy to say that Kevin McCarthy was elected, and some people would say, well, and a bunch of people did say that they wanted somebody that was more aggressive when it comes to cutting the deficit. But the truth of the matter is he's plenty aggressive in that space. But the other truth of the matter is he's been around long enough to know how the system works. He knows most of the Republican caucus and a bunch of the Democrat side of the building. And that knowledge of who you're dealing with is absolutely essential if you're going to be the leader.
And of course, one of his first orders of business was basically to make some cuts, and that to the IRS.
It's the first bill that we presented as Republicans was a bill to do away with, if you will, the 87,000 IRS agents that were included in a bill passed some time ago by the Democrats. And of course, the rationale underlying the bill is that we don't want people being harassed by the IRS when it comes to paying their taxes. We certainly want people paying their taxes, but to hire that many people to go chase people around was not right. And so there was a modest amount of balance we attempted to restore in that bill. We left in money for new IT systems and some other money to try to help people with services. But in large part, the bill would have addressed reductions in staffing. And as Bill, as you might know, RL, the bill passed the House, of course, but the odds of it passing the Senate and being signed by the president are pretty low. That's an understatement of the day.
I get that. So let's talk a little bit about how you and I had talked on election night about some of the things that might come your way as far as committees, committee chairs, and the like. And so did that all play out, or is that still playing out?
Yeah, the proper answer is it's still playing out. And what's going on today is the so-called steering committee, which is the committee we elect, all of us, all 400, and well, actually 222 of we Republicans elect our own steering committee, and its job is to select and populate the various committees. And so today they're working on one set of committees, and that effort will continue into next week. So we won't know until next week. I've asked for natural resources, and I've been told that should I be selected for that committee, in all probability I will be chair of the subcommittee on water, oceans, and wildlife. But that has not happened yet, and so we're hopeful. And then, of course, I've also asked for judiciary, and then finally I've asked to be put on rules. So those are my 3 asks. We'll see what happens.
Okay. The first one was the one that we had talked about after the election. And give us an idea if, in fact, you were given the chairmanship for that, what would that do? How would that affect the state? How would that affect the country?
Well, it's an excellent question. Having the gavel, as they say, having control of a subcommittee in Congress doesn't make you the president, but it does give you a chance to organize hearings and lead on legislation that affects the area of your jurisdiction, which in this case would be water, oceans, and wildlife. And I have been working literally for the last year and a half with the staff of that committee, putting together the types of things that I want to focus on. I'll just quickly go through some of them. I want to improve, of course, the means of allocating water. I want to protect people's use and management of water as opposed to trying to give all the water to fish. I want to make more water available, which means, of course, storage and recharge, and looking into things such as piping and even desalinization. I want to make sure that we continue to use our water for hydroelectrification. That means don't take out any more dams. And, of course, I want to focus on ocean fisheries and aquaculture and things that go on there. On the wildlife side, of course, I want to focus on trying to address wolves and making sure that if the country wants to reintroduce wolves, the country pays for the cost of doing so, which means helping offset the damage those creatures do to cattle and to sheep and to other community activities. And so those are just some of the few things that we'll be focusing upon.
Okay. I know. I mean, that is one of the main things in your wheelhouse has been water. As when you were here in Oregon, well, you're still here in Oregon, but I mean that's one of the things of your focus.
I have a strong background in water. I went to law school and took the few water law classes that existed back then, and then when I got out, I went to a small country law firm and practiced both in the litigation side and the business transaction side, always with a focus on water. And then, of course, I was on the Oregon Water Resource Commission for 8 years, and then in the Oregon legislature for 12. And most of those years, I was on the committees that had to do with water or energy. So, yes, I have a strong background in water. Also, I was made ranking member of this very committee. That means the top Republican about 2 weeks after I got to Congress. So my reputation in that space is known actually across the Western United States, and it's working out pretty well.
Excellent. So on the other committees, give us an idea of what would transpire in those other committees that you would be a part of. Right. So
it's likely that I'll end up on judiciary again, and I serve on two subcommittees there. One's the antitrust subcommittee, the other's intellectual property. That's patents and trademarks, copyrights, and the like. I think our first meeting on judiciary will be held on the border between Mexico and the United States. That could be as early as a couple of weeks from now, and we'll be obviously looking into all of the things that need to be done to better protect our border, which is absolutely, totally out of control. And I mean it. It's a disaster on the humanitarian side and on the immigration side. On every way you look at it, it's a disaster. So that committee will also be looking into the we can call it malfeasance, but the weaponization, I think, is the word that's being used, of various government agencies such as the FBI, perhaps the National Security Agency, and Homeland Security. So there's going to be a lot of activity on judiciary. My other ask is rules, and rules is a procedural committee. It's appointed by the Speaker, not by the steering committee. I may or may not get on it. I very much want to be on it because it controls, in many ways, the way that bills are managed across the floor of the House. And as a lawyer with a lot of experience in procedures, I'm very, very, very hopeful that I'll end up on that committee.
And so how how the steering committee at this juncture in time, how long do you think it'll take before you know what committees you landed on?
Well, that's an excellent question. I know the committees they're working on today could include judiciary. So it may be that by the end of the day, I'll know if I'm on judiciary again. If not today, it would be tomorrow on that committee. On natural resources, either Friday or they may push it over into next week. And the reason for that is many people are leaving, and I don't think they're going to have time to get all their work done before everybody gets out of here. So it's my hope that it's my hope that we'll hear sooner rather than later, because everything's kind of on hold until you know what committees you're on. So sometime by the middle of next week we should know.
Okay. So when do you think is the next time that you're going to be back in district?
Well, if everything goes according to plan, I'll probably fly back tomorrow, and then there'll be a period of time where I'll be traveling around the district talking to various folks. But as of right now, I think I may be going to Arkansas to meet with the chair of the Natural Resource Committee sometime next week, and also I think the new chair of one of the Ways and Means will probably also be there, and so there'll be an opportunity, I hope, to talk over some of the things that we're going to try to do on the committee, because at the end of the day, I'm chair of a subcommittee, and that means you turn for leadership and direction to the chair of the big committee, which is natural resources.